Okay. So budgeted cost and expenditure is about, we have to check, we have to measure the budget that is being invested over a period of time. And budgeted cost is the planned expenditure profile over the life cycle of the project. Over the life cycle of the project means inception phase, elaboration phase, construction phase, transition phase. Through all the life cycle phases we are talking about. And tracking the financial progress usually takes on some specific format, and one common approach for that one is earned value system. So that earned value system, about that portion question can come up definitely. So here we have to talk about earned value system. So to maintain management control, measuring cost expenditures over the project life cycle is always necessary. Obviously, if we will not measure it, how much we are investing without checking up whether it is under budget or not, then it will definitely create problems on the later stages of the development of the software. Okay, that's why it is mandatory to have this check, um, you can say one milestone of checking up the budgeted cost again and again over a specified period of time is very much necessary. So let us see about this earned value system. There are some basic parameters of this earned value system, okay, that we have to remember. So modern software processes, they are utilizing this earned value approach, and basic parameters of earned value system, they are usually expressed in terms of dollars. So whatever values will come up for the expenditure plan, actual progress, actual cost, cost variance, schedule variance assessment, the answers will come up in terms of dollars if there will be some numerical values. Okay, what is expenditure plan? First thing, expenditure plan is basically the planned spending profile for the project over a planned schedule. For most software projects, this profile generally tracks the staffing profile. How much people have joined, how many people have left, their salaries, and resource requirements on the basis of other resource requirements or personals in an organization. So that is an expenditure plan. We are planning for the complete thing, how much is to be invested. So that is called as an expenditure plan. So the planned spending profile for a project over the planned schedule means time span, over a time span, period of time, how much we have to spend. That is called as an expenditure plan. Actual progress, second one. What is actual progress? So this technical term is relative to the planned progress. How much planned progress means what we have planned, estimated profits also you can say. And then actual progress tracks this planned progress closely, how much has been done actually. So comparison of these two things. So basically actual progress, to know the actual progress we have to track the planned progress, then only we will get to know how much actually being done for the project. Okay, and progress thing we have already seen how we can estimate the progress on the basis of the lines of code written, on the basis of the use cases drawn, on the basis of your change management, changes came up, how many changes has been resolved, how many changes are still pending. So on the basis of those things, this progress has been measured. So that is called as actual progress. Actual cost, actual cost is this actual spending profile for project over its actual schedule. That means we have to track the planned cost. Again, just like our actual progress, here we have to track the planned cost, planned budget. Then we can compare both actual budget and the planned budget, how much there is difference, whether we are under that or not, or we have um, crossed it or not. So that is the purpose over here, to have this comparison so that we can have control over the complete project. So that is called as actual cost. Then along with this actual cost, there is another term, earned value. Earned value is the value which represents the planned cost of the actual progress. So remember this term also, sometimes this term also comes up, earned value. Earned value is the planned cost of the actual progress. Okay, planned cost of the actual progress. Just for your sake, for the remembrance purpose, I'm telling this term. Otherwise, you can remember the planned cost also. Then cost variance. What is this cost variance? Cost variance is the difference between actual cost and earned value. Okay, actual cost and earned value. So earned value, I have just told you, earned value is the planned cost of actual progress. Okay. So this cost variance, if positive values are coming up, uh, they will indicate the over budget situations, and the negative values will indicate under budget situations. So these are some things that you have to remember. Or if you don't want to go in so much of detail, just keep the definition ready with you. That's it. That will be enough, I think. Then second last one is schedule variance. Schedule variance is the difference between planned cost and earned value. Okay, so planned cost and earned value. So these two differences you have to remember. And schedule variance, if the positive value is coming up, that will show us we are behind the schedule, behind the time. And negative values will show us we are ahead of the schedule, ahead of time. Then last one is assessment. Assessment is nothing but your inspection that we are doing. And inspection is nothing but to check whether things are under control or not, whether things are failure free or not. That is the main purpose over here of assessment. Okay. So I think these are some parameters of earned value system, and this question can definitely come up in your exam. Discuss about different basic parameters of earned value system. So till now, if you are having any doubts, please let me know. Nothing? Okay. Okay, then let us move ahead. And next one is our staffing and team dynamics. That is third metric. Staffing and team dynamics. What is staffing? And when, as the name is suggesting to us, staffing means we are talking about people of the organization, people of the team. So metric here, this metric measures the personal changes over time, which involves staff additions, reductions over a period of time. And iterative development should start with the small team until the risk in the requirement and architecture have been suitably resolved. So this is talking about the people. And obviously if the projects are very large, if they are of 2 years, 3 years, then in between it can happen that many new people can join in an organization, experienced people can leave the organization, or the people who are working on the particular project, on that particular project, can leave the organization. So tracking those things have an effect. And there is a term comes up, retention. How many staff has been retained who are working on the projects from starting? So these things really matters. Okay, so this metric measures the personal changes over a period of time. Okay, which includes staff additions and reductions over a period of time. So this line you have to remember for sure. Staffing and team dynamics. Okay, so next is about this one. How much staff is required according to the particular phase of life cycle? So this thing we have already discussed also in previous topics. So you should have some little clarity about this thing, that maximum of the staff, maximum of the effort and time is required during the construction phase. Okay, that is the main point. So that's why you can see over here, as compared to inception, elaboration, and transition phase, the construction phase is taking maximum effort and schedule, 65% and 50%. Okay, effort means, effort is nothing but how many people are required, persons month. Schedule is time, how much time it will take. So maximum time will be captured by the construction phase, because construction phase is about implementation and assessment. So this diagram is showing us which part of life cycle will consume how much of a person's effort and how much of time. And after construction phase, obviously design portion will take up maximum time after construction phase. Then transition and then inception takes the least time, least effort, and time is same for transition and inception. So in this way, these this bar chart has been shown, okay, on the basis of the effort and schedule. Okay, so just to show you, organization to organization these things can vary, project to project these things can vary. Okay, but by default, obviously it will remain like a construction, that means implementation assessment portion will take maximum portion. So it can come up, sometimes graphs can come up, this is more less or this is more high and this is more high, that depends, but usually it will remain same kind of graph for the projects. Okay, then after this, staffing and team dynamics. Okay, before directly jumping on to our quality indicators, let us discuss some more points. Just give me a second. So staffing and team dynamics. Some more points that you have to remember on this one. What are some other points? Its definition and this example you can give if this question comes up. Also, tracking your actual versus planned staffing is very much necessary, and it is one of the well understood management metric. There is another important management indicator of changes in project, the relationship between the additions and the reductions. Increase in staff can slow overall project progress, as new people consume the time of existing people in coming up to the same speed, you can say. Okay, and low reductions of good people is a sign of success. So these kind of content you can utilize to make your answers. Okay, how good quality people, skillful people can have additions of freshers, or just simply uh, new people in an organization. It will take some time for them to come on the same pace as the previous members are working on the project. Okay, so these you have to remember. Then I think that's it. Okay, also engineers who are working on the project, they are highly motivated by making progress in getting something to work. This is that means we have to keep them motivated, and that is a work of facilitators, and that is a work of managers of the organization, that they have to maintain the space in the team, and they have to organize some kind of activities with them which will help them to maintain that consistent pace and motivation. So I think that's it about staffing and team dynamics. The points that you have to remember. Definition, some of the examples, you can utilize this diagram also, and then how it will be beneficial to the organization. I think that's it. Okay. Okay, then next one is quality indicators. So what are quality indicators now? So till now we have discussed about management indicators, and management indicators are three that we have discussed. Okay. Just give me a second. So management indicators are three. First one is work in progress. Second one is budgeted cost and expenditure. And third one was staffing and team dynamics. Please try to remember these points. Very important part. Next is quality indicators. There are four quality indicators which are based primarily on the measurement of software change across evolving baselines of engineering data. And these metrics are developed um, just to keep in mind how we can check the quality of the product. Okay, so first one is from them change traffic and stability. For stability, overall change traffic is one specific indicator of progress and quality. And change traffic, you can say, is the number of software change orders opened and closed over a life cycle. How many changes, whatever changes are coming up, whether they have been done or not. So closed means they are done. Change orders are closed means they are done. They have been worked upon and they are done, they are closed. Open means SCOs open means they are still pending to do. So comparison of these two things, how many SCOs are open, how many SCOs are closed, will give us an idea of checking up the quality of the product. You can say development of the software product. And this metric can be collected by change type, by release, by team, by components, by subsystem. By utilizing these things, we can find out. Also, getting it coupled work and progress metric of management indicator, it will give us an insight in the stability of the software. So how much progress has been made, if we will see this particular of how many changes are being done, how many changes are still pending, and we'll compare it, we will utilize the progress part also with it. It will give us the complete idea whether our software is being developed in a stable manner or not. And also stability, this term can come up. What is the meaning of stability? Stability here is the relationship between and closed SQs. How stable the project is within a particular time schedule. What is the change? How many SCOs are open, how many SCOs are closed. If they are going parallelly, and if SCOs open are less than SCOs closed, that will be more good, I think. Yes. So by checking out this metric, we can have an idea of a healthy project's life cycle. How healthy our project is, how much stable our project is. The main motive over here of change traffic and stability. What is the meaning of change traffic? How many changes are coming up? How many change orders are open? How many change orders are closed over? That is the meaning. Okay. I hope you got the clarity. If you are having any doubt related to this one, please let me know. Nothing? Okay. Okay, then next one. Let us move to our next metric of quality indicator, and that is breakage and modularity. What is the meaning of breakage and modularity? Nothing much is there for this one. Just some two definitions that you have to remember. What is the meaning of breakage? What is the meaning of modularity? And how it will help us to measure the quality of the product. That is the main motive over here. So breakage is, you can say, is defined as the average extent of change, which is amount of software baseline that needs rework and measured in source lines of code. We are talking about amount of software baseline which needs rework, and it will be measured in terms of software lines of code or function points, components, subsystems, files, etc. That means which of them, which content is required rework. Okay, and we have to divide our work accordingly. So that is called as we are breaking down our work into the terms of according to the changes that are coming up and how much rework is required. And that rework here for breakage will be measured in terms of how many lines of code has been updated. In terms of function points, we can calculate how many components have been added, subsystems have been added or removed also can happen. How many files or other units are to be implemented, to be reworked upon. So those things comes under this breakage. And modularity means, oh sorry, modularity means your average breakage trend over a period of time. Average breakage, how much work being measured in terms of lines of code, function points or components, and over a specified period of time we have to check. That is called as a modularity. Okay, so that is about our breakage and modularity. If you are having any doubt related to this one, please let me know. Okay, some more point about it. This indicator of breakage and modularity, this quality indicator will give us an insight into the seriousness or lenient character of software change, how serious changes are, which are coming up over a specified period of time. And in mature development process, earlier changes are expected to result in more rework than later changes. So breakage trends that are increasing with time clearly indicate the product maintainability is suspected. So these are some things that you have to remember, and there is nothing else there to know, because here we are talking about according to the changes, how much rework we are doing, how many lines of code we are adding, how many function points have been increased, how many components, subcomponents, subsystems, files or units have been added or removed. So that is the breakage, and modularity is the tracking of this breakage trend over a specified period of time. That's it. Okay, so I think that's it about this breakage and modularity. Next one is rework and adaptability. So here again this term rework came up. Now you can think that rework, so we have already discussed in breakage also how much rework we are doing as per the changes are coming. But here rework will be calculated in terms of cost of change, how much we are investing as those changes are coming up. Okay, so that's why rework is defined as the average cost of change, which is the effort to analyze, to resolve, to retest all changes according to the software baselines. So here we have to talk about in terms of finance. as the changes are coming up, how much we are investing into those changes. That is rework. And adaptability is a comparison of that rework trend over a period of time. Okay, over a specified period of time, how much rework, how much cost has been incurred over those changes. So that is adaptability. Next about it, I think rework and adaptability is this much only, nothing much is there. What else you have to remember about rework and adaptability is that not all changes are created equal. Some changes can be made in a staff, while others can some changes can be made in hours, or other changes can take up to weeks or months. So that depends how much money also will be required to fulfill or to work on those changes. So these things you have to remember, and these the kind of content you can make by yourself also. Okay, and this metric will provide insight into our rework measurement, because we are talking about cost per change. Okay, so I think that's it about our rework. It's enough. If you are having any doubts related to this one, let me know. Some okay, someone has joined just now. Okay, K4. Okay, then I think it's clear. No response. Then I'm considering you are understanding. Next, last one is MTBF and maturity. So MTBF means mean time between failure, and mean time between failure means, in rough terms, you can say it is computed by dividing your test hours. How many, for how long the, yes, someone is unmuted.
Yes, ma'am. Actually, my PPT is not changing.
Okay, wait, I'm sharing again. Which slide you are watching right now?
Ma'am, it's 42, I think so.
Not not 42.
Ma'am, because
It
it's
should
not
be.
visible properly. Due to connection problem, it's not visible properly.
Okay, can anyone else also tell me which slide is visible?
No slide, ma'am. It is blank.
Huh? It's blank.
Ah, yes, ma'am.
Okay, wait, I'm sharing the slide again.
No, ma'am, 69 slide is showing.
Okay, okay. Wait. Now tell me, I have shared the screen again.
No, ma'am, it's not showing till now. Yes, ma'am, now it's showing.
It's coming. MTBF and maturity.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Yes? Okay, okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, Suyesh. Thank you. Okay, then what I was telling about MTBF, mean time between failure. So it is the, you can say, the average usage time between
Ma'am, can
software
you repeat the last topic, ma'am? Uh,
rework,
yes, ma'am. That one.
rework and
Rework.
adaptability. Okay,
Yes.
okay. So about rework, what I was telling, whatever changes are coming up into the system, uh, how much budget will be invested on those changes. So that is cost of change. we have to measure, and that is called as rework over here. So that metric will be called as a rework. And the comparison between that cost occurred per change with time, compare it with time, will give us the idea of adaptability. Okay, so that these two things you have to remember for rework and adaptability. And how it will help us, like you can say that not all changes are equal. Some changes can be made within an hour because those changes are small, and some changes can take weeks or months also. So that depend on the type of change that is coming up, and how much cost will be incurred for those changes. That also depends on those type of changes. So this kind of metric will give us an idea within a specified time period or within a project schedule. Yes, someone is unmuted. Okay, no one. So this metric will give us an idea that with the project schedule, with the project time span, how much money we have invested on the changes that came up. And because of those changes, whether we have went over the budget or we are in budget or not. So that is the utilization of this metric of rework and adaptability. Okay, so that's it about our rework and adaptability. Next is about mean time between failure. So this is the last point that we are discussing today. Mean time between failure is the average usage time between software faults. As two faults are happening, how much time it took, how frequently the failure is happening, that we want to check. So this between software fault that I've already told you, it is computed by dividing the test hours by number of type 1 or type 0 SCOs. How many changes are coming up, and testing hours means for how long you have conducted testing. So that time divided by number of SCOs, you can say. And maturity is obviously is comparison of this mean time between failure over a period of time. So what is the use of this one? To check out how many errors are happening and how frequently those errors are happening. Whether they are happening within hours, whether they are happening week by week, or whether they are happening monthly. So this we want to see. How good our project is working, that we want to check. Less number of failures, that means obviously our project health is good. And on the early stages of inception phase, design phase, if there will be more failures, that means we are going on a correct pace. That means on later stages we will have less faults. As early we will find out errors on the initial stages, more beneficial it will be to us on the later stages. So that is the complete purpose of this metric. And software errors can be, you can say it can be, some errors are like can be resolved very easily, some errors are like we have to avoid them. So you have to also find out what kind of risk or errors are occurring into the project. Okay, so that is about our quality indicators.